Good morning to you, my students. How are you doing today? I believe you have a nice class with Mr. Gabriel. So it is nice to also connect with you once again, okay, to teach this topic. I'm quite sure that some of you might have missed me. I also missed you. And I believe we are going to have a nice time today. Alright, my name is Olatubosun Jegede. If you are getting to know me for the first time. And today, I'm going to continue the topic that Mr. Gabriel has taught you, which is the measurement of heat energy. Now, our learning objective for today will be focused on the explanation of the method of mixtures of liquids and solids. Then we are going to describe experiments to determine heat capacity of liquid by method of mixture. And we are going to look at one or two numerical problems and the solution, okay, during this period. So now please ensure that you are well focused and stay away from anything that can distract you. Alright. Now let's start with calorimetry. Calorimetry. Now, the term calorimetry is all about the calorimeter and the principle behind it in the measurement of heat energy. So calorimeter is the instrument, or can I say equipment or apparatus that is legible to determine the quantity of heat of substances. Okay, and we are going to see calorimeter. Okay, this cup-like vessel. Some are made of copper, some are made of aluminum rather. Okay, and the most common method used in calorimeter experiment is known as method of mixtures, which we are going to look at as we continue. Okay, so in this method of mixtures, it has to involve either cold, very cold objects like ice being mixed with object that is at room temperature, or the one in which its temperature is a little bit higher. And they will be mixed until they have even temperature. At this point, how are we going to determine that? It is thermometer that will help in determining this. Once the temperature in the thermometer is stable, as mixing process is continued, and it gets to the point that the thermometer has stable temperature. That means the mixtures have even temperature. Let's move forward. Now, in the method of mixture, we are going to be applying the principle of conservation of energy. You know, principle of conservation of energy says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can change from one form to the other. In this wise, you can say that the heat energy cannot be lost under normal condition, but it can be transferred from hot substance to cold substance and vice versa. So that means, you see, I highlighted in red color. It's a very key word for you to show that heat lost by hot substances is always equals to heat gained by cold substances. Okay? So that is why, let me just quickly chip in something here to corroborate the statement. It means if you have your food very hot, maybe your tea is very hot, and you want to take it without wasting time, okay, just get a vessel, put water in it, make sure that the water will not, maybe let's just say the water is half it, and put the cup that contains the tea in it. Something will happen. You will see that the hot tea will definitely has or experience fall in temperature. Where is that temperature? Where is the heat going to, or the temperature? Where is it going to? It is being gained by the cold water that is present in the vessel. Okay? You can see now that heat is not lost. It is just being transferred from one either liquid substance to solid substance. Prevention. If there is going to be any loss of heat during this process, it is going to be minimal, because calorimeter is designed, we're going to see it very soon, because calorimeter is designed in such a way to match or impede the loss of heat. So you have been taught in the heat transfer that there are different methods in which heat can be transferred. So it is similar to the methods in which it can be lost during calorimetry experiments. Number one, it can be lost through conduction. It can be lost through convection. It can be lost through radiation. And we added evaporation to it. Okay, I believe you know all this before now. Now, calorimeter is designed in such a way to minimize, heat loss. Okay, and let's see how. The losses due to convection and evaporation can be reduced by providing the calorimeter with a lid. Okay. 2. Heat loss by conduction and radiation are reduced by insulating the calorimeter with poor conductor of heat, such as felt or cotton wool. And we call the process lagging. Okay, when you say, if you hear the word calorimeter is well lagged, it means in between the copper vessel. We have two copper vessels. You are going to see the diagram that I'm going to show you as we progress. In between the copper vessel, there is a felt or cotton wool in between them, so that it will help to minimize it. We say that the calorimeter is lagged. Okay, the process is called lagging. Okay. Now, this is copper calorimeter. Now, let's see, this is the smaller vessel that is put inside the bigger vessel. You can see inside there's a white material, and that is the felt. Okay, it's in between it so that it will help to prevent heat loss. Since it is a conductor, I know that every conductor is it is a non-conductor rather. Every non-conductor is a poor substance that will not allow heat to easily travel through them. So the heat that is supposed to pass from this copper vessel is being stopped by this whitish felt material. Okay, this is this is intermediate rubber material that is in between the cover and the vessel. Okay, if you are calling, well, this one is called stirrer. This is stirrer. and this is the hand handle. What is the function of stirrer? Stirrer is just there to mix the mixtures together so that even temperature or even mixture can be obtained. Let's continue. I told you before that we have a copper calorimeter, aluminum calorimeter, we have bomb calorimeter, and so on and so forth. Alright, this is aluminum calorimeter. You can see that this vessel is made of aluminum. Okay. Now, the difference between this, okay, the difference between what I'm notating here and the other copper calorimeter is that this can make use of this calorimeter can make use of electricity, or it can make use of what do I call it? Cell. Okay. This is the heating filament. You see a coil in between here. That is the heating filament. These are the two terminals where wires are connected to, which leads to the cell. Okay. Here is the stirrer that helps to turn it. So, in this aluminum calorimeter, you don't need to heat it using Bunsen burner because you have been provided with a coil. Once the coil is connected, it will receive heat energy, which will heat up the content in the calorimeter. Now, determination of specific heat capacity by mixture methods. I want your full attention here. I want your full attention because it is long and you need to understand the process. Now, the setup we're going to see next is containing the whole process or the experiment. Now, look at this. First thing we are going to do, which we are still going to explain in detail here. I will explain it from here now so that as we are reading through the procedures, you will get to understand it better. Now, you see, this is a stand. Okay? This is a glass, what do you call it again? Boiling water inside a tube or flask. Inside flask. Okay? The water is filled. Okay? Then we have metal block, usually made of a copper. It is being heated. Okay? The copper is inside the water, the boiling water. The water is boiled to 100 degrees Celsius. Okay? As soon as you get to 100 degrees Celsius, the copper is quickly transferred. I mean the metal block now. That's what I'm calling the copper. Is quickly transferred into the calorimeter that contains water. Okay? I mean cold water now. Okay? As it gets there, you have the thermometer inserted into it. Okay? Then the stirrer will be used to stir the water together so that the heat from the metal block circulates around the water. So, once the even temperature is obtained, that is temperature in which, stable temperature. Once stable temperature is obtained, the thermometer is read and the value of the temperature is recorded. That temperature is the temperature of mixture. Okay? But before we go through start all this process, we must ensure that we have measured the vessel and the water, we measure the metal block. We measure the water in the calorimeter. We measure the calorimeter even with the water. And make sure that we record all the values. We must also make sure that we record the initial temperature of the cold water in the calorimeter also. Okay? And we record the temperature of the metal block inside this water also. All these are very important in determining the specific capacity of this metal block. Okay? So, this is the whole process. I'm just going to retreat. I think I've explained them in that diagram. So, the solid copper block is weighed on a balance, and its mass, M1, is recorded. The calorimeter is dried and weighed, and its mass is recorded as M2. The calorimeter is then half filled with water and weighed again. We record that one as M3 to obtain the mass of the water. The initial temperature, θ1, of the water and calorimeter is taken and recorded. Okay? Then this is just the measuring beam balance required to take the measurement. If we are not using this, we use this. Okay? Then the solid is suspended from a glass rod by a thread in a beaker of water, which is heated until it boils. Okay, the water is allowed to boil for several minutes for the solid to fully attain the temperature of the boiling water. It should be at 100 degrees Celsius. And its temperature is recorded as θ2. So the solid is then quickly transferred to the calorimeter and the mixture stirred gently. The highest temperature of the mixture, θ3, is recorded. Now, the specific capacity of the solid is calculated from this. I have recorded all this with it, okay? Because, now, take note of initial temperature of solid. It is 100 degrees Celsius because the solid, the metal block, was at a boiling point then. Okay? And note that during the mixture, what will happen? The temperature of the metal block will fall. Okay? It will fall, whereby the heat will be received by the cold water in the calorimeter. Or the water in the calorimeter might not be cold, it might be at normal room temperature. Okay? So the final temperature of mixture is θ3, and specific capacity of calorimeter is Cc. So specific capacity of water is given. It is 4,200 joules per kilogram per Kelvin. And specific capacity of solid is Cs. So we said it that we are going to be applying rules. Even though heat is lost, if a minimum heat is lost in the process, we just assume that there is no heat loss to the surrounding. So we just simply say, heat lost by the solid, that is a metal block, is equals to the heat gain by the calorimeter and the water. So you equate all the terms. From there, we can make Cs, which is specific capacity of the solid, so you have the equation, and get this formula. Get this formula. I think you understand that. Okay. Now, what are the precautions to be taken? Number one, the calorimeter should be lagged with an insulating material to prevent heat loss by conduction. Two, the hot solid, I forgot something, you have to cover it. You can cover the calorimeter with cardboard in the process. Alright, so that you minimize heat loss due to evaporation and convection. Okay, two, the hot solid should be transferred quickly to the calorimeter to minimize heat loss due to surroundings. Three, the mixture should be stirred gently. Now, if that the first one we did was for solid. If we want to determine the specific capacity of liquid by a mixture method also, the process remains the same. It is just that here you are using liquid. You can use kerosene. Okay? kerosene, you can use kerosene. But there you are using metal block. You still heat the kerosene, okay, to a boiling point before you transfer it to copper calorimeter that contain water at room temperature. Then you mix them together evenly, okay, until you obtain final temperature of mixture. From there you can calculate specific capacity of the liquid, since all other parameters are known except for the specific capacity of a liquid. So the process and the experiments still remain the same. All right. Now let's move to the numerical problems and solution. Because of time, I'm going to be giving only 2 examples. So that's why you have your textbooks to look into for further activities. If you have questions from there, you can bring it up to me. I will answer. Now let's look at this example 1. Just a piece of copper weighing 5 kilograms is heated to 120 degrees Celsius, even above boiling point now, and then transferred into a copper calorimeter of mass 2 kilogram containing 9 kilogram of water with unknown specific heat capacity. If the final temperature of the mixture is 50 degrees Celsius, calculate the specific capacity of the water. You are given room temperature to be 8 degrees, room temperature of the water, specific capacity of copper 400, specific capacity of calorimeter 400 joules per Kelvin. Before you go into the solution, first of all, recorded all what you are given. I mean the parameters, which have all been recorded here. And before you start solving it, think of what will happen. The hint here is that, it is the copper that is heated and transferred to water. Okay? If you look at the temperature of the water, it is 8 degrees Celsius. That means you must know the quantity that is giving heat and the quantity that is receiving heat. From here, the copper is giving out heat. Meanwhile, the calorimeter and the water is receiving heat. Receiving the heat. We can say that the heat is being lost by copper and being gained by the water and the calorimeter. That is very important hint that will help you to solve the problems. So let's continue. So now you can see this place, though is small because of time and the space to save time, but I'm going to explain it. You all know that the formula for calculating heat capacity is MC theta, right? MC theta, that's what I'm going to be using. And we all know that we can expand it to MC theta into theta 2 minus theta 1, as the case may be, can be theta 1 minus theta 2. Okay? As the case may be. So first thing I'm going to consider here is the heat lost by copper. Heat lost by copper is going to be given as what? MC theta. That is the mass of copper, which is 5 kilogram, times specific capacity of copper, which is 400, times change in temperature. You know the copper drops temperature from 120 to 50. So we are going to calculate the change in temperature. That's 120 minus 50. That's equals to heat gain by calorimeter. You still follow MC theta, okay, which is now going to be theta 2 minus theta 1. Knowing that theta 2 is the final temperature, theta 1 is the initial temperature, which is 8 degrees. So heat gain by calorimeter, the mass of calorimeter is 2 kg. Specific capacity of calorimeter is 400. Final temperature of the mixture is 50. Initial temperature of the calorimeter is 8. So it is 50 minus 8. Plus, now we are going to calculate heat gain by water also. We follow MC theta. Remember that we are looking for the specific capacity of water. So the mass of water is 9. Still follow MC theta. The mass is 9 times C. Times C. C times change in temperature. That is theta 2 minus theta 1. Final temperature minus initial temperature. So from here, we all take take your calculator and calculate. You are going to get something like this. You get it to this level. Then when you get here, you do subtraction. Divide by 378. Finally, you are going to get C equals to 281.5 joule per kilogram per Kelvin. Now, example 2. There are 3 kilograms of water at a temperature of 10 degrees Celsius in a vessel. How much water at a temperature of 90 degrees Celsius should we add so that the resultant temperature of water in the vessel is 35 degrees Celsius? Each capacity of the vessel is not considered. Now, you will see that this problem has to do with a mixture of liquid with liquid. The first one will deal with mixture of solid and liquid. Okay? In this case, you will look at it. Which one is gaining it? Which liquid is gaining it? Which liquid is receiving the heat? You will see from the question that from here you know that the temperature of this is 10 degrees Celsius here, and the mass of the water is this. Look at the other water that, okay, you have to add another water so that the temperature will fall from 90 degrees to 35 degrees. See, this is the higher temperature. That means from this problem, having written out all the parameters you are given, you see mass of water, 3 kg, temperature, theta 1, just look at them as this is, as it seems to be. So quantity of heat supply equals the quantity of heat received. So from M2 CW T2 minus TR equals to M1 CW TR minus T1. So when you substitute, you will see that M2 equals to what? 1.4 kg. So it means that you have 1.4 kilogram of water in order to make sure that the temperature drops to 35 degrees Celsius. Alright, so if you have any question, you can call me. I'm just, because I'm in a rush, or it's because time is already not on my side. If you have any question, you can call me or send it to me. So try to do all the lesson check you have here. And the further reading is being displayed on the screen. Try to go through them. And thank you for your time. And make sure that you enjoy your day, a great day. I'm going to see you next time. Make sure you do all your assessments, obey lockdown rules, and keep yourself healthy and safe. God bless you. Bye-bye.